Welcome to Queer Next, the podcast that puts the yeehaw in y'all means all. I'm your host, Beck.
And I am your host, Dash. Welcome to today's episode. This is the true test. I actually don't know. I don't understand like internet bandwidth stuff very well.
One of my degrees is in IT, and I used to be able to explain some things like that, but literally I graduated with that degree in 2009, I think. And I couldn't, like, the technology has changed so much that I couldn't tell you anything.
I mean, it's faster all the time, too. Used to, it's like you do, this probably applies to more things than computers and IT and stuff like that. But, you know, used to you do it like a yearly thing to bring you up to speed. And now it's like, if you take a vacation, you come back and shit's different. I
enjoyed my classes. I was usually one of the only 2 or 3 girls in the entire program. Like, there was a girl named Courtney, and she was a bitch. I hated her.
I bet she's CEO of something now.
And probably, I don't know. She had no ambition whatsoever. And then there was this girl named Rebecca, and I think she was, and I'm not saying anything about homeschooling at all, but I think she was absolutely homeschooled because she had no social manners whatsoever. And I don't think she was autistic, so I don't think that was it. I mean, she could have been without me knowing. But anyway, one time I was sitting behind her in the computer lab, and she just lifted up her leg and farted real loud and sat right back down. Like, just lifted her leg and farted right in front of me. And just went, like, we all had our headphones on, and she just kept going on like it was nothing. I was like, oh my God.
That's like I don't know, like I'm trying to imagine like what would lead to something like that. This is like a phobia of mine of like, and it doesn't make any sense. And I discovered that it's not that rare. A lot of people have this phobia, but it's too embarrassing to talk about because I learned about it in my groupie sock school that I was going to. There was quite a few people with OCD that have this fear of you're not actually where you think you are. So like if I sit down on the toilet and I'm like getting ready to poop or something, I'll go, wait a minute, what if I'm like sitting on a public bus or something? What if I just think I'm sitting on the toilet?
I always double check to make sure I'm not asleep.
Yeah.
Like, am I dreaming this right now?
If I'm getting ready to get in the shower and I'm like, what if this is a fountain and I'm in public? What is that? Like, that don't even make no sense. The things that would have to happen in succession for that to be the scenario I'm in instead of the one that makes the most sense, which is that I'm in the bathroom. So yeah, now that's something that I'm going to worry about next time I fart. What if I'm in a computer lab? Maybe she just assumed everybody had their noise canceling earphones on.
I guess. I don't even know if that was a thing back in like 2008, 2009.
I remember in the 90s when the home PC started to become a thing. They wanted, well, it was that plus also internet access, right? They were really pushing this stuff out to be in the home. And a market they had a lot of trouble cracking was poor people in rural areas. There was a lot of stuff keeping us from buying a PC and getting internet. And like, it was the accessibility, but there was also this like educational divide. The people who were most likely to buy that stuff were people who already had exposure to it, already saw it as integral to their life. We didn't have any reason to, well, like, why would I spend, a PC cost $2,000 back then.
Right.
I don't know anything about what internet costs.
It used to be a dial-up, so you would like...
By the minute.
Where I lived when the internet first came around with AOL, it was long distance. So you had to pay long distance rates. So it was like 10 cents a minute to use the internet. That's how old we are.
So in an effort to, I guess, make us begin to think of these things as parts of our lives, they had these outreach and education initiatives to teach the Hilljacks about internet and stuff. And local libraries was one place they did it. And my mom, where she worked part-time at the Jellicoe Library, she went to some school put on by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And this was a lot of rural educators or librarians, people who were plugged in, who would have been kind of a linchpin in that system. They educated them. And so mom actually knew how to use a computer for the longest time, but they never actually got a computer at the library. So like they forgot to like put in that to plug in that little piece. But it was pretty helpful at home because dad wanted a computer. He loves technology and stuff. He was always looking for an excuse to get one. So when we finally were able to, she was able to show us how to use it. And it stayed, I mean, computers weren't advancing super fast back then in the like early 90s.
My parents were still using AOL when they died in 2022 and 23. So that's how technologically advanced they were. If it wasn't on Facebook or eBay or Amazon or AOL Mail, my mom didn't mess with it. So
I had no idea it was still a thing.
yeah, it's free now. And my dad, he was always looking at cars, buying and selling cars on like eBay and
Mhm.
carparts.com and stuff like that. I would need something for my car and he'd be like, just go on carparts.com and look up blah 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 blah. Blah." And you're like, slow down and repeat that in English, you know? We are not sponsored by carparts.com. I should throw that out there.
I've never heard of it. Anytime I need something, I go to Rock Auto, but I'm
Dot
sure it's a
com.
similar thing. Well, I mean, my dad, he had a Commodore 64, I'm pretty sure, but we weren't allowed to play with it. And it was literally just for a while there, he had a side gig that didn't actually make any money, but he did have to process payments and keep books and stuff for it. It was just a hobby of the recording studio. So he would, bands would come in and pay him to use the space and he would produce it for them and he would place an order for the CDs. And he only did it for a few people, but he did have to have some software to do that, but he mostly just wanted to have it to play with. Same with the studio, actually. Like he wasn't going into business. He liked doing that kind of thing. And then he got a 286, this was back in the day. These were their processors. So this was before Pentium, which was actually just 586. And he got Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego for it.
Oh, that's cool.
There was a couple of other games that weren't as good, but that one, man, I would play that one all the time. I fucking
Yep.
loved it. Did you ever play the game or watch the show?
Yeah, we played it at school. There was a game we played on computer because we had the old Apple with the green text on the black
The
screen.
Macintosh.
Yeah.
Hmm.
There was a game called Number Munchers, and it was so fun. It was like a square, and you had to we like eat all the multiples of two, and so you'd have to like avoid the three and the seven and whatever. There'd be little monsters that would come at you. It was a lot of fun. And then Oregon Trail, of course.
Yeah, Oregon Trail was the big one that was fifth grade. There was a computer at Jellicoe when I was in the fifth grade. Actually, there were two. There was one that was a PC and there was one that was a Macintosh. And it was the only thing I remember playing on it was Oregon Trail. And when I say play, I was never allowed to. It was never somehow my turn. I was mostly watching the other kids play. If you were willing to throw hands, you could be the one that got to be on the computer.
They had plenty of they had like a little like a room full of them lining the walls.
They had that at Williamsburg, but not at Jellicoe.
I was in the talented and gifted program. And I remember in the third or fourth grade learning to type using like a Mavis Beacon type program. I started learning to type as early as that. Are you a good typist now?
I was, now of course I've got neuropathy in my hands, but I used to average 85 to 95 words a minute.
Yeah.
I didn't learn the correct way. I just memorized the keyboard.
Ah, I learned the right way. I took 2 years of typing in high school.
I tried. I really did. They put the little like that orange thing over the keyboard so you can't look at the keys and the home keys. I try. I do put my hands there sometimes, but no, mostly I'm just like really fast. I've memorized the keyboard reaching for things, and it is not the correct way to do it, but it's also not quite hunt and peck because yeah, I just created my own way of doing it, which is how I learned to read. So it's not
Yeah.
surprising.
Hey, if it works, it works.
Hmm. I've been trying to, because I've been applying to a bunch of jobs, so I've been like editing. You know what that turnaround is like,
Yeah.
where you have to edit a fucking cover letter for everything you turn
Yep.
in, and I've been using like actually my hands instead of the voice to text because formatting for voice to text There may be a shortcut for it. Like other disabled folks out there, if you've had to learn how to use these assistive technologies late in life or whatever, let me know if there's a shortcut. But I keep having to go back and forth between like using the touchpad to format to go like down for line breaks or something like that because I haven't memorized all the voice commands for various things. And so I'm just like, fuck it. I'll just like force myself to type, but I make so many mistakes. It's so slow and it wears my hand out. And I still am just going to do that instead of learning the correct way to use the assistive technology.
So your middle name is Stubborn, then, is what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. In a way, though, I mean, maybe it's like good for my hand. Maybe it's like physical therapy. Maybe it'll get stronger.
Maybe I have what's called trigger finger. Like my fingers will just like do this. It'll just, or like these fingers will get stuck and won't like straighten out. It's really weird. My fingers like go frozen for a second, not cold, just immobile.
Weird.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that. That would be upsetting.
Yeah. My best friend worked for a orthopedic surgeon for a long time, like 20 years, a long time. And she said that was very common. She said a lot of people have it. I've also got a cyst right in the middle of my hand because of it.
Have you seen anything weird lately?
Define weird.
Like just people doing interesting, funny things.
Did I tell you about the girls that I walked past on campus that were in their army scrubs, like their ROTC? There were three of them. It was dark. It's been maybe 6 weeks ago when it happened, and it was like 7 o'clock, so it was totally dark on campus, and it was still cold. And I'm bundled up, with my backpack, and I'm walking in my car, minding my business, and these three girls are just chatting, and one of them burps so loud that it like my hair flew back a little, and I went nice. And they were so embarrassed. She was like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." I think I was just invisible to him in that moment. But I was just like, "Nice," and just kept on going. It was one of the funniest things that's happened in a while.
Excellent.
I got an email this week from a student saying that he was from when I worked at Shawnee down in Portsmouth. He said that I was his first queer professor and the first person outside of his age range that he's known that was gay, and that it was great to see somebody that was queer and successful doing something with their life, and that it made him realize that he was also queer. And so thank you for that. And I was like, "Oh,
Aw,
yeah."
that's amazing.
He tracked me down.
I love when they do that. Kids, if you ever are like, I wish I could tell them this, but there's no way they remember me or there's no way they would care, we care.
Mhm. A lot.
God, this week or this coming week is Lavender's celebration, and I'm not going to be able to be there for it. Probably could crash it, but it would just make it all weird and it would make it about me.
Right.
And so I'm not going to do that. But one of the trans students that I was, close with texted me maybe yesterday that she got into a PhD program. It's fully funded. I think she said she's going to the University of Buffalo. And I was like, that's awesome. I'm super proud of you. I was worried about her. I'm worried about all of them because they become so inert. And I totally feel that. I feel very similarly. It's been hard to be inspired or excited or become motivated by anything. Like I have a significant problem to solve and I'm still just looking around like maybe this is just it. Maybe it's okay that this is the end of everything for me. And that's not really like me. I generally like problem solving.
Right. You're allowed to get tired though.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I'm just like another one. But like I was out for one of my walks. I have this, neighbor here. He's a weird dude. He's a little kooky, which I respect. And he's also very sweet. But I don't really see him that often. Like he's always out doing things. He's lives right behind me here, and he's got a big shed he's always working in. But I went out for my walk, and like you can feel that like a
Right.
car coming up on you, and I could feel that one was there, and that it was slowing down, and the driver was looking at me. I could just feel it, and so I looked over, and I didn't recognize him at first because it was a person dressed up to do golf. And so he started kind of joking with me. He was like, "Hey, you live around here?" And I just went like, yeah. Of course I'm sick and I was not feeling well, and I was already cutting my walks short because I didn't feel like it. But because I didn't realize it was him. But anyway, so when I did, I went over and I was like, "Oh, hey," and I'm trying to make small talk and I sound clearly so ill. And they just like to talk here, which is fine. And he was like, "Yeah, I thought that was you. I recognized your walk." And I was like, "That's a weird thing to say." thanks. This conversation just kept getting weirder the longer it went. We were both just not on our A game. And I think we started to like actually do it on purpose and be competitively weird. I said, all right. And he goes, well, everybody's got their own walk. And then we were both quiet and he goes, and it's hereditary. And I was like, what? And he said, how you walk, it's hereditary. And so I said, okay, well, I'll make sure to let my parents know you'll be able to pick them out of a lineup. And he started laughing, and then he was like, I've just been golfing. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And he goes, do you golf? And I said, nope, never have. They don't really do that where I'm from. And he goes, oh, do you fish? And I said, nope.
This flannel's just for show.
Yeah. And he goes, well, that's enough trying to get to know each other for now. I'll see you later. I was like, wow, congratulations. Like, you won. You out-weirded me. But it's
what do you even say back to that? Like,
I don't know.
Yep, I guess so.
He was I was standing in the middle of the road and he was stopped, and so after he said that, he just drove off, and I was like, bye. And I've been like, since then I've been saying, well, that's enough trying to get to know each other to myself. What an icon.
That's awesome.
It's fair, I was not doing a great job.
I once had a neighbor where I lived in BG. She lived a couple of houses down. And the day we were moving in, like this, we still had DirecTV. It was before it was all, online. And I had called before we moved up here to get it set up. That way we would have TV as soon as we moved in. And she comes over and she's like, you should sign up for DirecTV using my thing. And I was like, I'm sorry, we already got it fixed up. And she was like, okay, we're going to need to get you on a diet, girl. And like, was the first thing the woman said to me after I told her that I didn't want to use her DirecTV login. And it was like, okay. Turns out she was she got a master's degree in exercise science and was a retired gym teacher. I did end up taking a water jogging class from her, which was fun.
What's water jogging?
Exactly what it sounds like. You do the movements of running in water.
Oh, like an aquatics. Okay.
It's a lot easier on your body.
Yeah.
But it's still a workout because you do it in the deep end of the pool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've done a couple of aquatics classes.
But she was like 75 and still like out in the yard in her bikini.
What a thing to say. But anyway, there's some like serious conspiracy theories going on.
Well, I mean, he got shot. He was supposedly got shot and his ear is perfect. Like, so they faked the first one. What says they're not going to fake the second one? No, I don't believe it. I think he wants to be a martyr. Because after it happened, they were all like, this is why you need the ballroom. Fuck you and your ballroom.
That's exactly right. Like, they were people, I guess, picture that's being put together is one, that this has happened so many times and nobody can hit shit. And because this wasn't even, somebody had counted up that this is actually the fourth time, because there were times before when he was campaigning or something that somebody, I can remember one is he was doing one of his rallies and somebody rushed the stage, because I remember there was a gif of him like he didn't know what to do and he was like just freaking out. So that one I think was real. And I'm not saying that this wasn't, I don't fucking know. And I think it's more fun to like just talk about what other people are saying about like how they're making this conspiracy. But the argument is pretty good, and this really does show that like you can make an argument for just about anything if you're really dedicated and if you really put the information together. But yeah, a bunch of bots. There's a screenshot of a bunch of MAGA bots on Twitter going like, this is why we need the ballroom. And for me, I was even like, what does that have to do with this? It was a serious leap of logic. But
I think they were trying to say
security.
That they could have better security and that kind of thing there.
And they pointed out that this is the first correspondence dinner he's attended.
Yeah, because it was the first one that didn't have a comedian headlining it.
Yeah.
He's so thin-skinned, he can't take being roasted.
Oh, that's true. And somebody was putting all of the like pictures of them as it was going on, and some of them were like laughing, and they were laughing afterwards and smiling. There's a really incredible picture of Stephen Miller using his pregnant wife as a shield.
I saw that. I did see that.
Trump is in the background, just standing there watching. And I was like, even this, yeah, it's stupid. It's suspicious, but it's also like, yeah, both of these people would do that.
Yeah.
Like, Trump doesn't know where he is.
Granted, they are the worst government people that have ever been, in my opinion. But why did we have so many people in the government in one place? Like the entire line of secession was in that. One bomb would have left us with. When the article that I read said that 93-year-old Chuck Grassley would have been the president should a bomb have gone off and killed everyone in that room.
Aren't there laws against that?
I think there are.
Like, that matters.
Yeah. That's crazy to me.
Because they're not allowed to fly together. And also, aren't they building the ballroom? Like, has there been some sort of...
I think there's an injunction against it right now.
So they've demolished part of the White House, but they don't have permission to build?
They never had permission to build. They just did it.
Oh, my God. Incredible.
Like, they would have had to have gone through, like, a historic trust and, like, the National Historical Preservation Board or whatever it's called. And, like, there's laws and things about what you can do, Just because you live in the White House doesn't mean you own the White House. The White House is the house
just renovate.
of people. Yeah. And they're all like, well, Obama put up a basketball court. He put up not a court, he put up a rim. You know what I mean? Like, and it is not the same thing even a little bit.
If a homeowners association would allow it, it doesn't compare to demolishing the East Wing.
Yeah. Do you ever watch Jordan Klepper? His segments, fingering the people and all of that, fingering the maybe something like that, fingering the democracy, or I don't know what it's called.
Let me see.
Anyway, that's a clip for you.
Fingering democracy.
Yeah, the dissidence that people have. You know what I mean? They really believe that what he's doing is okay because Obama put up a basketball hoop, and it's like the leap of logic that you have to take to get to some place where you think those two things are equivalent is just astounding to me, and it should be studied. Like, seriously.
If nothing else, we are gaining tons of data about how this works, because it's a cult. It's called Jordan Klepper Fingers the Pulse.
There you go.
Into the Magoverse. They're
hilarious. And sad at the same time.
So, yeah, he does great work. And because sad is right, because there is such an order of magnitude of tragedy to what has happened to people.
Yeah.
It's sort of, I keep thinking back to that study about the amygdala and people who they studied Fox News viewers, but Fox News is just one part of this machine. What we're looking at here is a phenomenon of an ideology which is intentionally being bent to warping people's minds, their perception of the world, and the people who are susceptible to that. So it just happens to be this particular ideology. I remember something from Radhika's class, the media methodologies class.
I don't think I was in that class with you. You asked me if I was in that class. I don't think I was.
Well, and I took several with her because my coursework, like my specialization, was in media and communications and film and stuff. So one of those classes, she talked about how ideology, when we say ideology, it is not the thing that is motivated. It just simply exists. So whatever an ideology is, it doesn't have its own agenda. That can be hard for us to remember, to keep separate, because especially if it's an ideology that we don't agree with. And it's like, no, that thing's just existing over there. That ideology, it's sort of like an element in nature. We all have access to it. I choose to disagree with it. But somebody who decides to use it to try to influence another person, they are mediating that ideology. And this is what Marshall McLuhan meant by the medium is the message. He recanted on that a little bit because he was like, y'all misunderstood what I meant. What he meant was, it's not the ideology that has the agenda, it's the medium. The person that is transmitting that ideology is imbuing their own agenda onto it. Because look at the way Christianity is utilized against people. The people who are using that for evil don't believe it. You don't have to agree with an ideology in order to use that ideology to weaponize that ideology.
Right.
Anyway,
like Trump with his gold Bibles.
Exactly, yeah. And we're like, oh God, hypocrisy. It's like, you're missing the point. Of course they're a hypocrite, but that's not what's important here. You're not going to win the argument by pointing out, but you're a hypocrite. When has that ever saved anybody? Like, you tell the bad guy, you're the bad guy, and they go, you're right, my bad.
Oops, sorry.
I'll stop. And this all goes back to Althusser and him talking about like the ideological state apparatus, and you have to choose whether you believe in ideology or not, or whether you are subject to it. So these people are just activated by fear. That's basically what that means. If you can make, and we've known this for a long time, but we're getting all this like really public information, and people like Jordan Klepper, they're just doing the Lord's work.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure.
There was one clip I saw. It was Christmas, and Trump was still campaigning at the time. And so I don't know the guy's name that he's usually with. He's a shorter, much more deadpan guy.
Michael Costas.
I wouldn't, I've never known, so I wouldn't know if you were right or not, but they were at some sort of thing at Christmas time and talking to, I'm sure it was a rally, and someone was saying like, oh, we're allowed to say Christmas now. He's going to make it so that we're allowed to say Christmas, which that's always one of the, you convince somebody that they're under attack. She was like, yeah, we're not allowed to celebrate Christmas. We'll be allowed to celebrate Christmas. And he just kind of looks at the camera and then looks around him, because the whole place they're standing is like Santa vomited. It's just tinsel and lights and Christmas trees, and there's a fucking like Christmas song playing in the background. It's like, is this you not celebrating Christmas? What happens when you turn loose on Christmas? Kind of want to see that.
That would be the interior of the Briar Patch in Lucasville, Ohio. I heard they recently sold it, so there's a new owner, I guess. But I worked there for 2 owners ago, and when the people that I knew that owned it, Kay and, oh my God, I can't believe I can't remember his name. Frank, maybe? Kay and Frank? They sold it to another lady, and she came in and decorated for Christmas and never took it down. And she put up, like, they had these drop ceilings with, like, I don't know, 10 feet between where the ceiling was and the actual ceiling of the place. And you could see up in there. So she lined the ceiling with Mrs. Claus mannequins, like life-size Mrs. Clauses. And they're all over the place inside the Briar Patch. And it's the most bizarre. So yeah, it's a place that you just have to experience once. So if you ever need live bait and fried chicken leg or fried frog legs and a crock pot and some dog food, then that's the place for you.
And if you think that there's a war on Christmas, ask yourself, like, how many people, houses, whatever, businesses you see that literally just leave their Christmas decorations up year round, and how we all are just like, okay.
Have you seen the new trend? So I live in a brand new development. Like, I'm the first person to live in my apartment. The buildings are brand new, and there's houses constantly being built in the new subdivisions on my road. And there's all kinds of, during the summer and stuff, there's holiday lights put up by the lawn care people. They'll put them up. And now they put like the LED color changing ones. So in August, you can have a blue and purple house if you want. And in spring, you can have a pink and green one if you want. You can change the lights to the season if you want. And it's just a year-round thing now. And it's like $300 per square foot or something. It's like ridiculous.
That is a lot of work to just never have to take the lights down. Or
Yeah.
It's a lot of money to never have to take
Well, I mean, they're fancy houses. They're super. They look super new, but they put a house up in like 2 weeks a couple of weeks ago. Like so I don't know. This apartment is shit quality. It's brand new, but it has like that landlord special paint that where you touch it and you leave fingerprints on the walls. And like I leaned a box against it and it left a mark against the wall. So
those, I think that's called modular, where it comes like mostly already fabricated or prefab or something, and they just like assemble it on site after they build the foundation and stuff. And they are the market now. Like if you want to build a house, there are some places like where Vanessa moved in the northern Kentucky, like Cincinnati suburb area. That's literally all you can do. The only thing you can do is pay out the nose for a piece of shit big box store, uncustomizable. Like the designs are pre-made. I don't know. It's hard to think how someone, unless they were forced to, would agree to do that. Forced is a strong word, but like they've got kids, right? They have to live somewhere that there's a school district.
Well, that's how they got me, because they allowed dogs here. And when I moved here, I had 3 dogs, including Baby, who was an over 100-pound Rottweiler. And to have that many dogs of that size, we just couldn't get in anywhere. And plus, we were apartment shopping from 250 miles away, So we kind of got stuck living here.
Housing in America is fucking stupid.
Yes, I pay way too much for rent here. Like, it's a whole ass mortgage, mortgage payment.
Yeah. Yeah, your whole like situation is double my mortgage.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I intentionally bought a piece of shit so that my mortgage would be low, but that's because I don't have a lot of money.
Yeah, well, neither do I. But I mean, it was I mean, we had nowhere else to live. It was kind of and then to move, we didn't know if I was going to have my job for another year. So to move, the cost of moving, what it would have cost us to have a new first month rent and a down payment and to pay the movers and to pay all that it was worth it to stay here to find out, whether, but we're putting so many miles on the car and we're just using so much gas, and we're both working in BG right now. So it just makes more sense to be down there. So this summer, we're going to try to find, but finding housing down there is so difficult if you don't want to live like in a complex.
I mean, getting closer is absolutely a good idea, but like in the city or the town itself.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, I could be out on like the Sugar Ridge or, somewhere
it's
like
that racket.
Yeah. I'm not trying to live in the college area part. Hell no. Yeah. When I lived in Hamilton, Ohio, I lived near college students, and I would, if given the legal right, I would just hose them down when they came near my yard. I wasn't allowed to do that, but I thought about it many a times, and I do not want to live near drunken students. That I love my students, but I get them mostly sober, so I prefer that.
Well, and that's that Boots theory of social whatever unfairness. Terry Pratchett's theory is it costs, like you just said, that's probably $5,000 you need to move to a new apartment. And you're not going to have that because you're barely affording the rent to stay in the apartment you have. And so like having enough financial room to improve your financial situation, it's designed to keep us where we get stuck.
Yeah, I worked 2 jobs this year, right? I worked for the online university and I worked for the real life university. And somewhere along the lines, I didn't take out enough taxes. And so working this job cost me, now I owe $2,000 in taxes. Like, what is the point of trying so hard? How am I paying more taxes than the president?
What I had to do to find it was move somewhere that is nearly intolerable.
Well, that's how it was in Portsmouth. I could have gotten a really cheap apartment down there, but
that's right.
The rent was free while I was there. I mean, I would have had to pay property taxes if I had stayed there. And that's as much as a rent payment, because it was like $4,000 every 6 months or something, because there was, 17 acres. If I had stayed there, because we thought about it, what kind of life could we build there? We're being given all this land and this house and all that. Why not at least think about it? But there were no jobs. I could be working as an adjunct at Shawnee right now, and I just couldn't afford to live like that. And the mental stress of living in my mom's house after she passed was too much. It was too great.
I was gonna say, I don't know about that for you.
It was a lot.
Or for anyone,
My therapist was very glad when we moved back up here. And it took every ounce of everything I had, every dollar I had, every last spare energy cell I had, everything to get back up here and out of there. But we did it. We did it, by God. Didn't we, Rue?
Speaking of Ohio, Cincinnati has I think it's Ohio's first LGBTQIA2S plus city commission Let me look this up. I'm trying to do this from memory, and I could just Google
What
it.
does the 2S stand for?
Two-Spirit,
Ah.
Cincinnati, LGBT. There it is, yeah. First members to historic LGBTQ. Whoa. Oh, it's just cookies. Okay. Stop asking me if I want to subscribe. I'm already subscribed, by the way. This is the Buckeye Flame. Of course I'm subscribed. Yeah, Cincinnati's historic LGBTQ plus commission. The 12 appointees come from a variety of backgrounds. Cincinnati is the first Ohio city to create an LGBTQ plus commission. Will report twice a month to the city's Healthy Neighborhoods Committee and advise the council on how legislation might impact the queer community. Wow. They'll be tracking data. Cool.
They also have an anti-discrimination bill that includes non-discrimination against people from an Appalachian origin in Cincinnati.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What does that discrimination look like? Is it?
I think it's the people that like from southern Kentucky and all that moved north to the Cincinnati, what's it called? Not Norfolk, that's Virginia. What's it called? Across the what is it? Covington. Newport. Thank you. I could not get that word out of my brain or from my brain out into the language. I think it was because people moving from that part of Kentucky, like the J.D. Vances of the world, his mama or whatever, where they came from Appalachia to Middletown, which is pretty much Cincinnati. I think that's where it was trouble.
That is so interesting. All right. Cincinnati's Municipal Code 914 prohibits discrimination based on Appalachian region origin in addition to race, gender, and sexual orientation. The context is that migrants from Kentucky, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, and Southern Ohio moved to Cincinnati for industrial jobs primarily between the 40s and 60s and often faced discrimination, leading to their categorization as an invisible minority or second minority. The Urban Appalachian Community Coalition works to promote cultural pride. Wow. Oh boy, I bet this has been weaponized for some shit, though.
Yeah, you think so?
I mean, you know how fucking white people are.
Yeah. When I was at Miami my last semester, I ran out of financial aid because you only get so much eligibility. And I was literally to my last semester, and they gave me a scholarship based on my Appalachian birth, which I thought was really cool as a minoritized student. Yeah.
They are called Urban Appalachians.
Echoes of the Great Migration.
Well, I was just about to say, like, this is, it's sort of, this is a kind of diaspora, and I'm also hesitant to use that word. I use it sometimes kind of, what's the word? Jokingly, right? To talk about Appalachian diaspora. Specifically, when I talk about, like, queer and trans Appalachian diaspora for, like, people who left home to find acceptance. Because it's part of a larger conversation of the gay migration. Have you heard about this?
No.
It kind of describes this real and imagined cultural phenomenon of queer rural people leaving their, small towns or isolated towns for one of the gay meccas, like San Francisco, Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, whatever's closest.
I think that's about community building more than anything. Like in my small town, there were like 5 queer people that were out, That's the reason I moved to Huntington. The book Ruby Fruit Jungle, I don't know if you've ever read it. It's one of my favorites. But she gets kicked out by her mom, and she can't go to college anymore. So she decides to move to New York because there's so many queers in New York. One more won't rock the boat. And that was my exact thinking of moving to Huntington. There were 3 queer bars in Huntington alone when I moved there. So there was at least a community there. And I know lots of other people from Pikeville and areas like that moved up there too for the same exact reason. It was a place for community.
Yeah, and I think part of it was like there was only so many places people knew of for sure that there were queer people, and San Francisco was one of them. And it is just simply unlikely that there's going to be a vibrant queer community in a place with a small population. And that's the minority experience, or the minoritized experience, is having to do some legwork to find people like you. 15 years ago when I was first on the job market, it was just like LGBTQ centers far and wide, hiring all the time. And right now, it is very few and far between like I've been monitoring the job boards for weeks now, and I've seen maybe a handful, 5, job postings, but they're in such weird, surprising places. I saw 2 in Texas, and I can remember one, but probably more in Tennessee. What the fuck? Those are, well, maybe the people who had those jobs left because the states are so awful. But like Minnesota, my university is getting rid of that job because it's too hot politically. But Texas and Tennessee are out here posting
Help wanted.
Yeah. Okay. I don't want to live in Tennessee. I absolutely cannot live in Tennessee or Texas as a trans person. Wouldn't it be crazy if one of our listeners was on the Cincinnati LGBTQIA plus commission? That would be fucking incredible.
That really would be. If you are, we want to interview you.
We could probably like, I don't want. I was gonna. It was gonna sound creepy what I was about to say, but like find out who they are and where they work.
Yeah, that's not creepy at all, dude.
No, it's probably their worst nightmare. As someone who's been in that position. Public service, oh my god, it's not for me. I don't even know if university level facing public service is for me anymore. Like I looked at those jobs and I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I have that in me anymore. That is young person's work.
What, like coordinating activities and all that stuff?
That to a degree, but also like advocacy on that level with the amount of like red tape and constraints that come from doing it in higher education. I think naivete is a strong asset for something like that, because you've got to be willing to grind and keep churning and burning without really being able to see a result. And you get tired of that.
Yeah, I bet.
Well, let's hear from this week's sponsor. This week's episode of Queer Next is sponsored by Stone Soup. Do you ever stand in your kitchen or some kitchen you don't know how you came to be in, staring at the half-used 1/4 sprouted onion, a janky carrot, some sad celery, and a pack of instant noodles, just knowing there's a meal in there somewhere, but not knowing if you're up to the task of bringing it together? It seems like all you do is solve problems, and the creative energy it takes is all used up well in advance of getting your own basic needs met. Let the Stone Soup Starter Kit do the executive functioning for you. Phone a friend. Hell, phone all your friends. You're all equally tired and just as far from the 15th. The password is Ramen Abomination. Bring whatever you have that needs fixing before it spoils and leave the rest to us. Included in the starter kit is 1 pot, 1 base, ramen, beans, rice, or broth, 3 to 7 questionable ingredients, at least 2 equally tired friends, one of which has just enough gumption to hold up that mystery jar and say, "What about this?" Additional flavor expansion packs include found family facilitation for the socially awkward. There's no hosting stress or performance, just showing up tired together and bringing whatever you have. Morsel mutual aid. Your almost nothing plus their damn near nothing equals actually kind of something. Creative burnout recovery. When you've got zero energy, but someone else can hold the idea for a minute. Customer testimonials. Eli says, "I brought half a bell pepper and emotional burnout. I left with a full bowl and 3 new contacts in my phone." Jasmine says, "We accidentally made something incredible, and we have no idea how to recreate it." All this can be yours for the incredibly high price of asking for help. You'll get both a fuller stomach and social battery. Plus, you borrowed the courage to eat that pickled thing from the back of the fridge.
I've never heard of Stone Soup before.
Really? That sounded really shady. I'm sorry. Listeners, I hope you don't feel judged if you also hadn't, but it's just it's an European folktale from the 1500s, so the 16th century.
Well, who isn't up on their 15th century German folklore?
It's so fair.
Silly me.
The story is like there's a traveling stranger, or maybe more than one, I don't know, who come to a town and they're hungry, but they don't have any food, and they are like, "Okay, we're going to make some stone soup. I can make soup from just this stone." And they have a pot and they put the stone in it. And they're like, "Okay, so just need a few ingredients." And they go to each house, and they're like, "All I need is a little bit of this, right? A little celery. Do you have a taro root? Do you have whatever, a chicken?" And like house by house, they put together a pot of soup. And then they invite all the villagers to eat it with them. So I guess it's a story about like pulling community resources and
the joke is like, I made all this just from this rock, but they actually made it from connecting with people. And we managed to feed a village. I think it's similar to, there's some religious myths that are similar, right?
The loaves and fishes.
I call mine Ramen Abomination, but it's based on this stone soup thing. And we would do that like when I was in college. We would be like, all right, it's stone soup night. And sometimes we would go to Save-A-Lot or Aldi together and shop and then come back and make, you know, whatever in the dorm kitchen or if somebody had an apartment in their apartment. And so we made stuff. It was always big pots of shit because you have to be able to throw in whatever you have. So I would you can buy Top Ramen in bulk. And so I would fix a big pot, a huge stock pot, a bowl of water, and throw in like 6 packs of the noodles. And I would save, because the flavor packs on those is just bouillon, basically. So I would save the flavor packs for seasoning meat next time I had meat to fix. Like if you get a shitty cut of beef or pork or something, you can put that on it and it tenderizes and flavors it. And then people would come over and like if they had carrots that were half rotted, you know, like chop them up and throw them in there, and celery or potatoes, whatever, and it makes pretty good soup. I would throw peanut butter in there. I made pad thai type stuff before. Cream of mushroom soup or cream of whatever soup stuff you would use for baking, put it in there and it makes kind of a soup base. I made pasta that way. I made some truly disgusting things. I made some of the recipes that I still make to this day.
Yeah. Yeah, Shanna does most of the cooking for a reason. I'm not. Like, I can make you a good batch of spaghetti. Like, that's my specialty, right? Like, that's everybody's first specialty. I can make you a pot of chili as long as I have the prepackaged chili seasonings. So basically, you just brown some hamburger and open some cans, and that's about it. But Shanna does fried chicken. She does shepherd's pie. She does, you know, a wide variety of things. She can make biscuits and gravy. I can't make biscuits to save my life. They never turn out right.
There's a knack to it.
Yeah. I also have a black thumb. All of my talent is in my forefinger for doing pictures. Like that's my hand talent.
There's a couple of like social media creators who are just like Southerners or, you know, people from Appalachia who are showing people how to make their granny's recipes of things. And, you know, my mom, we've talked about this before. She had her recipes that she rotated and they were fine, but she wasn't some like granny in the kitchen all damn day, right? She had jobs to do. She had like, there was her generation didn't get to just spend their time refining their fucking craft. She had the things her mom taught her to do. She knew how to make biscuits and stuff like that because she was taught that, but she didn't get to stay in the kitchen, even if she had wanted to, right? And if you want to be a stay-at-home mom and you want to be somebody that only goes in the kitchen and gets better at doing that kind of stuff, we support you. But even if she had wanted to, that wasn't in the cards for her. So I see things all the time that I'm like, I ain't never seen nothing like that. I saw somebody today making, oh shit, what did she call it? Chocolate cobbler. And she was using, like your mom used for her fudge, the cocoa powder mix.
Hershey.
I saw her with several different powders. And it made it just like cobbler, but it came out looking like a ooey gooey brownie. I almost saved it. Like I was like, I'm going to make this or some shit. Maybe we should do that. We should do an episode where we both try to make something.
I used to be a pretty good baker. When I was a kid, I used to make like cinnamon rolls from scratch and things like that. Baking, I can, because it's an exact recipe. You tell me exactly what to do and I can do that. But cooking is more of a soul sport, you know? You add a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And I just don't have that.
Well, you have to get your reps.
Yeah. But I grew up eating fast food. You know, my mom cooked, but she also worked like your mom. And so we got a lot of food delivery, a lot of pizza from Giovanni's. And there was a place called Jim Dandy's that had a Big Mo and a Coke for 99 cents. And we would order like 20 of them. Yeah. For everybody.
And you know, they had 3 fucking corn-fed growing kids. We became impossible to feed as we got older. You know, that like she tells us all the time. She was like, I swear to God, all I did was feed y'all. And she would, you know, if she got home, immediately she'd be in there fixing her big batch of hamburgers or spaghetti or whatever. We would eat it up, and then she said 2 hours later we'd be in there in the kitchen with our head in the refrigerator looking for something to eat on. And like, I could see how that would wear you down.
Yeah.
And so, like, later they were more like trips up to Kentucky to get a pizza or something. It just that she had to go so far out of her way, and nobody delivered.
Giovanni's delivered to my house. Giovanni's was a wonderful place. I still troll their Facebook to this day, and every time they're like, we have a new location or a new special, and I'm like, are you delivering to Toledo? Or come to Toledo? Like, I troll them.
Keep at them. One day.
Maybe they'll like bring me a pizza or something just for a social media video. That would be amazing.
Oh, hell. Listeners, let's make it happen.
I really am like a walking, talking Giovanni's billboard. Everybody I know knows Giovanni's because I talk about it so much.
Sponsor us, Giovanni's.
For real.
I'm going to see if I can
girl.
find that TikTok I saw of that woman making that stuff. And then we'll see. Maybe this weekend we'll see if each of us can make it and review it. Do you want to tell us about a noun of Appalachian interest?
All right. Today's noun of Appalachian interest is a man, a legend, and an Elvis-loving icon. It's Jesco White, also known as the Dancing Outlaw. Now, if you've never heard of Jesco White, buckle up a little. This man is from Boone County, West Virginia, and he did not just grow up around dancing, he was born into it. His dad, D. Ray White, was a famous mountain dancer, and Jesco grew up learning the trade. And when I say dance, I don't mean like a nice little recital situation. Think tapping meets clogging, and they had a wild-ass baby. I mean stomping so hard that it feels like the porch might give out. I mean rhythm that sounds like it's coming from deep in the hills. It's very loud, it's very fast, and it's often a little chaotic. It's very Appalachian in all the best ways. He's infamous in West Virginia. Jesco got to be well known outside the region through a 1991 PBS documentary called The Dancing Outlaw. And let me tell you, the title is not doing too much. It fits. This man dances like he's in a showdown with gravity itself. Every move looks like it could go wrong, but somehow it doesn't. Or if it does, he just keeps going. He gained wider notoriety with the 2009 film The Wild Wonderful Whites of West Virginia, which if you haven't seen, also encompasses the pure insanity of a white family existence, and you're totally missing out on the ride. But here's the thing that makes Jesco really interesting. His life story is not neat. It's messy, messier than your usual mess. There's his family, which all have their own issues, and there's lots of struggle, there's loss, and there's lots of ups and downs. And right in the middle of all that, there's dancing. Like, dancing is the one thing that keeps showing up, no matter what else is going on. And that's kind of what makes him feel so Appalachian. It's not polished, it's definitely not trying to be perfect. It's real. Did I mention that it's loud? It's fun to watch, a little wild, and it carries history in it, even when it looks like absolute chaos is tap dancing by the crick. Also, I say this with love. If Jesco White walked into a Sheetz at 2 a.m., nobody would question it. He would just be part of the scene. So yeah, Jesco White, the Dancing Outlaw. Proof that sometimes culture looks like a whirlwind of a man in tap shoes on a wooden floor, stomping like he's trying to wake up the whole damn mountain. That's this week's noun of Appalachian interest.
Actually didn't know that dancing was as much of a part of that group of people as it is.
Yeah, it's tap dancing it too. Like, there's a couple of scenes where he has, like, I don't know if it's cardboard or plywood or what, but he's literally dancing on the crick.
His was probably not this, but they do make portable tap floors.
Yeah.
There's this dancer I followed on Instagram named Melinda Sullivan who would do that. Like, her dancing, she would use it as actually a percussion instrument, and she would perform with musicians, and like they would be playing, the upright bass, and it was kind of jazz that she did a lot of, but in her dancing was the percussion of the song. It was pretty cool.
That is cool. He does usually have a fiddle player or a banjo player or something with him. But then there's the scene in The Dancing Outlaw, the part 2, because I went down a rabbit hole the other day researching. I watched The Dancing Outlaw 2, Jesco Goes to Hollywood, and he's dancing down the Walk of Stars or whatever it's called, the Hollywood Walk of Fame or whatever, where the stars are. I forget what it's called. My brain doesn't work this early in the day.
I think it's Walk of Fame.
Star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. That sounds right. Anyway, so he's just tap dancing with a boombox on his shoulder, and people look at him like he's crazy because he's like straight out of the hills of West Virginia, right there in the middle of Hollywood, and even making a commotion. So it's interesting to see the spectacle, I think.
I think that it's a kind of like shame, like internalized embarrassment about being a hillbilly that makes me not want to engage with media that is about us, especially the documentary style. Because I had a reaction to seeing promos for The Wild and Wonderful Whites, and I have avoided, engaging with it or watching it or anything. I don't think that's a good thing. It's probably not healthy.
Family connection. Shanna's aunt by marriage is related to the Whites.
Cool.
Her uncle married someone related to the Whites. It's a small state. There's got to be some connection, right?
Do you have any famous cousins or relatives?
There's a guy named Chris Collingsworth he was an NFL player and a commentator for the NFL TV stuff. He's a distant cousin.
Really? Everybody hates him.
Yeah. I didn't know you'd know him.
Oh, yeah. I was raised on football, so I knew him as a player.
So I've told you many times about the family history that the McGoffin County Historical Society did. We're both in that, so.
That is cool.
One of my favorite things about that book is the wide variety of names. There was somebody named America, Texas in it. So one time we went to a baseball game where my nephew was playing. It was still the pandemic. So we were all outside and I brought the books with me and we kind of looked through them. And my adopted father's name was Mark. And we were talking about my niece having a baby. And there's a name in the book. Somebody named their child Skid. And we were like, you should name it after that. And it should be little Skid Mark.
Skid?
Skid. SKID as a name.
Okay.
There was lots of interesting names in there. Like my grandfather is Conway, Archibald, like names like that all the way through there. So
my granny parrot she was born on the 4th of July. So her middle name was Columbia after Columbus, I guess, which in their mind was somehow related to the 4th of July. Education wasn't a strong suit in Egan.
An interesting thing about family names, my great-grandfather, everyone knew him as Jefferson D. And if asked, he would have told you that his name was Jefferson Davis and then my last name, right? After doing some research and finding the family history and all of that, his name was actually Thomas Jefferson, my last name. And if you think about the political implications of changing your name from Thomas Jefferson to Jefferson Davis, and Jefferson was both my father and brother's middle name. That's wild to me that he flipped the politics there. I think my great-grandpa would have been a Trumper, pretty much, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's like Forrest Gump, who was named after Nathan Bedford Forrest.
Yeah.
I wouldn't admit that shit.
Do you know who you're named after? I know your middle name is after your brother, but do you know who you're named after?
Oh, what I named myself?
Yeah.
It just means green, like nature. I didn't know that until after the fact. So it was a nickname, right? Like my birth name, even my parents didn't call me that when I was a kid. Like it has never fit. And they were intending, so they thought I was going to be a cis boy and they had planned to name me after my dad. So when I was born, they named me the girl version of his name and then just called me his name. And they still call me that. They don't call me by the name I gave myself because I got a different nickname when I went to college because everybody was like, that doesn't fit. Like everywhere I went, people were like, that don't fit. I'm calling you something else. So I just kept that. Because remember, like even before I transitioned, when I moved up there, I was already going by the name I'm going by now. I never changed it because
That's the only name I've ever known you by.
Right. Yeah. Again, I got that nickname in college and I was like, fine, whatever. Cause I never been called my birth name. And so my family still calls me my dad's name.
That's interesting.
I wish I had just changed my name to his legally. At the time, I remember thinking about it and I chose not to do it because I was afraid that he would be disgusted by me. So I didn't know if he was going to sever ties with me. And so I was like, if I name myself after him and then he hates me, then I'm not going to like my name anymore. Yeah. So, and I wanted to have faith that he wouldn't be like that. But this was during his like hardcore, he wasn't yet fully out of his very hardcore right wing, also Baptist phase. Like he was very strong in that stuff. Like he told me that he thought tattooing was the mark of the beast, shit like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's weird to think back of him being that much. Now he thinks Trump is the Antichrist. So I'm like, okay, that's still fucking crazy, but at least we agree that, like, at least your politics have come back to a place where
Right.
I'm less scared.
If I had been born a boy, my mom was going to name me Bradford Elliott. That's terrible.
You dodged a bullet there.
Yeah, for real.
Bradford Elliott, what in the fuck? What does Bradford do? Bradford is the awkward lead in a fanfic about Friday Night Lights or Varsity Blues or something.
The only Bradford I've ever known was the son of my English teacher in high school, and he's queer. So that's the only Bradford I've ever known.
The only Bradford I know is a tree.
Well, yeah, the pair. And then my middle name, I was named after my dad had a sister that died in a fire with her kids well before I was born in the 60s. And she had 4 kids, and one of them was named and so I got my first name from that. And then my middle name came from my aunt. My mom my mom was tired by the time I got around, and she just let my dad name me. So they're both from his family.
Yeah, I think that's what happened for Vanessa. They chose just names so that she would have the same initials as me. That probably didn't feel good, you know? Like, growing up realizing, like, oh, you were just so tired of coming up with new names for kids that you just, whatever.
My brother was a junior, and my sister, Marcy, there's no Marcys in my family, but her middle name was my grandmother's. I don't know where Marcy came from.
Yeah, none of us got family names that I know of. David, his middle name was Keith. I don't know. I've actually never met a fucking Keith in real life.
I've got a cousin named Johnny Keith.
Yeah, Keith, I mean, it's a good middle name. I think it actually kind of works.
There was a Keith that lived across the street from me growing up.
Yeah, he's the only one I ever knew. And he couldn't pronounce it. Like, he had a pretty pronounced speech impediment. So he pronounced it Devil Teeth, his name. He couldn't say David Keith. It came out Devil Teeth. So that's still one of my, like, some people called him that. Like, they didn't make fun of him. Like, the kids at school, they didn't seem to put it together. I don't think kids, when they're young enough to have those kind of problems, I don't know. You only really get pegged with it if it persists into, like, middle school and you still have that kind of speech impediment. But, like, we had a family friend and babysitters that called him Devil Teeth. I thought it was hysterical. Well, you're giving a final today?
Yes, at 3:00 today for women's studies. Well, my online class, it opened at midnight, and it's open until midnight tomorrow night. I give them 48 hours to take it. And then my women's studies final is this afternoon, and then tomorrow I give 2 more. And then I don't have to leave my house until August. So I am very stoked about that. I've got plans to write and write and write and write and write. We are going to West Virginia in a couple of weeks, so I will be going to get some tutors and some Giovanni's and hugs from my mother-in-law and such. So I get to see my best friend again, so that's good.
Come back with the Giovanni sauce?
Yeah, we haven't been home in almost 2 years, so.
Me neither. Yeah, it's been 2.5 years.
Shannon went home for Tracy's mom's funeral, but I had to teach. So she's been home since I have. But I haven't been home since October of 24. So it's been 1.5 years or so. So when we got mom moved.
That was the last time I went home.
Yeah.
It was November.
I can't believe it's been that long since I've had Giovanni's.
You ought to shriveled up and died by now.
A little bit. Shit's good.
Well, good luck to your students.
Thank you. I'll tell them to break a leg.
I'm gonna apply for some more jobs.
Have fun with that.
Yeah.
If you need me to be your supervisor or something, hook me up and I'll talk all kinds of good stuff for you. I've got a friend who I've been their landlord.
I've done it.
Been there. I'm like, who am I this week, girl?
Like, for a job, it has to be somebody that I actually have worked with. But
yeah,
there have been people that I've worked with them in a way that I wound up mentoring them as much, if not more, than their actual supervisor, and I outranked them, and so I've supervised them on projects and stuff. So I'm not like totally making shit up, because you can't for a job recommendation, they're going to be specific.
Yeah. And
they're going to look at your LinkedIn. And so if you're not connected with that person, if it doesn't line up, it don't work.
I don't have a LinkedIn right now. I totally deleted it.
I mean, it's I actually wanted to show you something I found a long time ago because it's getting weird. People are doing strange stuff, but I couldn't find it. It's a strange place. But you have to have one if you're going to be on the job market, unfortunately.
Well, I'll wait till I am to do that. I just don't like my information being so widely publicly available. I have a very common name, so I'm invisible on the internet, and I like to keep it that way. I meet all kinds of people. Like, I went to a high school with a person with your name. Like, I get that like twice a year, probably.
There's an ad on like Pluto or something, some commercial for a service, and it starts out and it catches me so off guard every time because it says Sabrina Gonzalez is no idiot. And I was like, who said she was? What'd you say?
Do we have to fight?
Yeah, I've seen it so many times. I still don't know what they're trying to sell me because every time I'm just activated. I'm on level 100 by the first sentence. Like that, I hadn't thought about that. But if you use a real name and you say some inflammatory shit, like your hook is that, like there's at least a handful of people who know somebody with that name out there, and they don't hear the rest of that ad.
My friend Brian sent me a picture. He was driving on 64 in West Virginia, and somebody in a big red truck had I don't know how they had it on there, but they had it printed on the back of their window that it had my name and it said "is a thief." They had misspelled thief, but that's what it said.
Love to see that.
So it was in my memories the other day. I don't know how I would get to it. If I find it again, I'll show it to you.
I tagged you in something, but I'm not sure if you were friends with the person who posted it. He lives in Bowling Green down there.
I don't know that name.
You would love him. You guys, I've got to introduce you. He's just a really sweet guy. He's the big gay bartender at City Tap there. But he found something. I'll go back and get the picture and show it to you. But it was a special Mountain Dew can that said American Dew. It had the flag on it, you know. I don't know if it was the 4th of July special or whatever, but he just posted it the other day. And it was just so like, what is American Dew? Mountain Dew was already about as American as you can get. Not only that, but it was diet. So I already don't know what American Dew is, but what is diet American Dew? I'll find it because I tagged you in it, and then I was like, maybe they don't know each other. They absolutely should, but so I'll find it and send it.
Yeah,
to
the
you.
only bar I've been to at BG is Grumpy Dave's for trivia night. That's the only bar I've stepped foot in. So
Yeah.
unless you count Beckett's Burger Bar, and I don't really count that for burgers.
No, City Tap was the place that I would go for music, and we would go to there and drink sometimes because it was down the street from the apartment I lived in.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of their thing. Like, it was predominantly a live music venue. All right, well, we better go get to our days.
Yeah. I gotta go get showered and get out of here soon.
All right, well, happy whatever day this comes out, listeners. We had some technical difficulties this week.
I like how you described it as ghost in the line.
Yeah, I mean, we've had some trials and tribulations lately with the internet. We're gonna try our best to fix it. We're only human, but have a good one. Stay safe. Hope it's sunny where you are, and say hi to your mom and them.
Bye.